Hey, the BeerBiceps guy brings you TRS clips. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you hit that bell icon. Because you have this bird's eye view of your audience, your consumer, what is going on now? Why are people suddenly getting more interested in financial education and fintech? Is it that young people, again, is it that same concept of young people are chasing wealth somewhere? And, that's why people are like latching onto this? What's your opinion on that?
No, I mean, see, the thing is, there are multiple enablers here, right? As in, so I think the first thing what has happened in the country is the interest rates are really low in the bank, right? I mean, your fixed deposit is giving you 5.5% and stuff like that, right? So automatically people are looking for alternate ways, alternate places to invest into, where it can yield higher than the fixed deposit. The other thing is this whole work from home has enabled people to think about personal finances, right? Because, this whole, otherwise, when people go to work and they're continuously working 8-10 hours a day, by the time they come home, they're already tired. Now, they don't really have too much to think about. Now, I think, people sitting at home, they're like, oh, you know what? There is something called stock market. Maybe it's, we should look at it. The third enabler in this was the markets had fallen. So a lot of stocks were available for cheap. Right, if you think of it, right, every time there's a sale, people go queue up, right? If the big bazaar had this big bazaar day, like there is 1 kilometer of queue outside because people get attracted to discounts, and that happened also in Feb March, right? Suddenly you had stocks, available at 50-60% of the cost. And then those stocks bounced back, right? And April, May, June, stock markets did well. So people who invested then suddenly saw a lot of money, and which meant they started speaking about it to their friends. So they're like, oh, what? There is a way to make money in the markets. So all of these happened together, and then fourth was onboarding is today online, right? It's not offline like before. So all of this put together, the fact that you can instantly open an account, I think has just created this whole rush of people coming to the markets. And also see, in India there are 400 retail brokerage firms, right? Retail broking, stock broking is probably one of the oldest industries in the country, because the Bombay Stock Exchange is the oldest stock exchange in Asia. So India actually has had a past, to the stock markets, relation to the stock markets for a long time. In this whole last 5-6 months, a lot of these brokers who are offline, they have lost out because all their business models were, wired around offline processes, right? I'll send someone to pick up a check after you buy a stock and stuff like that, right? I mean, that has got collapsed. So the top 5-10 online brokers have kind of gained a lot of market share from them. And what you've seen in the last 6 months is that our average age of our customers was 32 before COVID. It's 28 today, so it's just, wow. So it's a lot of, 20 to 30-year-olds who are coming in. I think the big challenge of this, like I was just recently tweeting about this, where this crowd doesn't have the money, unfortunately, so like, the money in India, like there was this thing which, this data that Goldman Sachs would put out recently saying 75% of all wealth is with people who are more than 50 years of age. So the problem challenge of building a business for the 20 to 30-year-olds in a business of money is that even though you have a lot of customers, these customers together don't really add up to a lot of money, right? Which is the, which is the one place where we haven't done very well, which is, we haven't done very well in this audience of 50-year-old plus crowd, because this audience needs, relationship managers. They need someone to call up and say, good day, good morning, sir, good afternoon. I mean, they're used to a certain way of life, and they don't really care for product experience as much as a younger, like a 20 to 30-year-old guy. Like my dad likes this old Android phone. Every time I try to give him a new phone, he's like, no, I like this better. Right? He doesn't, he doesn't want to even shift out of that because he's just used to that product, right? And yeah, so that's one place where we've not been very successful, which is attracting the 45 plus crowd to come open accounts with us.
So the way I look at it, I mean, personally, I feel like you're sitting on this volcano of growth eventually, because I just feel that younger people now, like in their early 20s, there's a lot of entrepreneurial energy. There's a lot of energy when it comes to, again, personal finances. There's a lot of thoughts behind, okay, how do I grow to that next level? Because honestly, considering the fact that I'm guessing a big chunk of your audience is tier 1 cities in India, like and therefore, I mean, your consumers tier 1 cities in India, and therefore they are very influenced by the West. They're very influenced by America. They're very influenced by the Gary V's of the world. I don't know how familiar you are with Gary Vee, but he's this entrepreneur from America who does a lot of social media content. He promotes the idea of growth, challenging yourself. And even when we hire people for Monk Entertainment, which is our media company, so when we're hiring 22-year-olds, they're extremely different from what even I was when I was 22, and I'm just 5 years older than them. But the whole thought process is completely different. So is that something that you'll think about a lot? Because I'm assuming you do, considering the fact that you've designed a minimalist app, considering the fact that um, that is a big chunk of your audience, that 10 years down the line, 20 years down the line is where you'll really see the growth of Zerodha.
No, I mean, I think every single thing that we build today is for that crowd, in the sense the 20 to 30-year-old crowd. I think what's also changed with this crowd is just the risk-taking appetite. I think that's dramatically changed. Because we started the business from 2010 to now, right? As in, like 5 years back, the way people used to respond, the younger crowd to stock markets, to what they're doing today, there's a drastic change in that. And I think why risk trading appetite, because I think it's capitalism at its it's at play, right? As in, it's people know that they have to make their money work. Just earning a salary isn't enough. They whatever is saved, that has to work for them. And you can't. And also I think there is this whole insecurity in terms of I think today's world, you can't really, the retirement ages has come down from 60 to 55 and etc. I don't know if a lot of people know about it, but as and when the retirement age is reducing, that means post-retirement, where you don't earn a salary, you have a lot of time to spend, which means that you have to start saving for your retirement as early as possible. And while while there is a lot of excessive consumerism is a problem in this country. That is people, spending, like swiping out the credit card on the first day of the month, and then trying to make up, as and when. But there is this whole chunk of audience, a new bunch of people who understand that, saving for retirement is an important concept, right? And I think we need to find a way to, make sure the entire crowd thinks like that. And you can't just have a small portion of this 20 to 30-year-old saying, what, my dad retired at 60, but I might retire at 52 or 50, right? That means I have 10 years lesser to save, for my retirement, right? And so say if you start earning at 20 and say you save till 50, so you have 30 years of earning and you have maybe another 20, 30 years of living off your savings, right? So how much do you need to save? And the cost of living is continuously going up, right? As in I don't think it's going to reduce ever, right? So I can see that, people thinking of it, like a big section of the 20 to 30-year-old, but there's also a big section of 20 to 30-year-old who wants to buy just, if a person wants 50,000 rupees, wants to go spend 1 lakh rupees on an iPhone, which is ridiculous. It's probably the most stupid thing someone can do, right? But people, get caught by this consumerism. And I think our marketers and advertisers just make it all so, it's almost like a must have today, right? As in like the latest phone, the latest shoes, the latest whatever, right? I think what has also happened in this COVID era, right, is people have not been spending on this, discretionary stuff, which means they've suddenly gotten, access to this money, which was getting spent otherwise. Which is also the reason I think why, people like us, the businesses like us have done well, because that money which is in the bank, instead of going and finding its way to a Nike shoes or an iPhone, has, probably gone into, Reliance Industries or, State Bank of India or some stock like that, so, which is good. I think, excessive consumerism is the one which is killing the climate, is killing the planet, it's problem problematic for the climate change, etc. So I
on
think,
on multiple levels, dude. It's not just climate change. It's probably, I think over time I've begun to look at it as a very minor part of self harm also, because the more you own,
right.
the more you're prone to misery. But that's a deep spiritual theory. More on that later. Go on.
Yeah, so even the education. So we have launched this like a mobile app for education. It's called Varsity. The education, the web, it's also on the mobile. So we've seen a lot of, and the thing what we've done at that financial education is we've broken it down into small little non-intimidating kind of ways to teach people finance, and that's also doing quite well, with the audience. And the startup ecosystem that we're working with, they've built a lot of very cool products for the 20 to 30 year olds, and that's also kind of done well. So yeah, so the focus is 20 to 30 year olds. I think India has the highest number of 20 to 30 year olds in the world. I think the way we are looking at our business is that you sit with them, teach them good habits, and wait for them to get richer in their lives. So they automatically start generating more revenue for the business as well. As and when this progresses.